What's good, y'all? Back with another creepy ass conspiracy video. And you know how TikTok be getting down, so we're just gonna get right into it. Need I say more?
Talking about, bro.
For people who aren't familiar with Bohemian Grove.
Oh my gosh, I know what you're talking about, bro.
For people who aren't familiar with Bohemian Grove, it was a conspiracy before, but it was proven to be true by Alex Jones. It's out in the public. It was a place in California where all of these elites or celebrities, whatever, people with a lot of money, specifically men, they would go to the woods and worship this owl god. They would be dressed in like wizard costumes, whatever, and then they would burn these stick-like figures and they would do these fake sacrifices. And recently there was a guy who snuck into the old hideout. His name was Dancer1 on YouTube. That's supposed to be the owl. You see the wings?
This is the owl statue. What the fuck? No way. Oh, that's hollow. Yeah.
That's so creepy, bro.
I've seen images, bro, and that's literally like, it's just fucked up because of the
Covered in vegetation and stuff like that. These are videos that Alex Jones took. Bro, that's a lot of heads.
Before the cremation of care, all the Bohemian Club members begin a massive feast of revelry.
Hail fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, midsummer sets us free.
Now, one thing I do know about that is I believe they took down the video of that nigga, so that already just adds validity to Bohemian Grove conspiracy theories and what they got going on down there. And honestly, that's not the only place. They got places like that all over the world, you know. Imagine in this hole anyway, so just give you all time yourself to think. And don't even get me started on the connection to the Freemasons and everything that got going on with the Bohemian Grove and America, and how the founding fathers were built on the Freemasons. I might be saying too much, but I digress.
Shh. This is my secret account. I don't know what I'm going to be posting on here, but if you start telling everybody, it'll ruin all the fun.
The guy in that video is named John Robert Bell, otherwise known as Joe Robe here on TikTok. Before John deleted his account, he had millions of followers and over 100 million likes, meaning that he was very popular here on TikTok. However, the world would soon turn against John when they found out that he was a pedophile. You see, on July 21st, 2021, a TikTok user named Dylan uploaded a disturbing video. Dylan stated that John, in the photo here, had tried to groom him. According to Dylan, John actually offered to rent a one-bedroom Airbnb to celebrate his 18th birthday. And he stated that he wanted to purchase alcohol for the minor. When Dylan asked John if there would be other people in this Airbnb or if it would just be those two drinking, John allegedly kept dodging the question. In addition, Dylan stated that John had joined him and his friends on a Zoom call, with their ages ranging from 15 to 19. And Dylan stated that John encouraged the group, including the minors, to take a BDSM test and send him their scores. Now, these are some pretty serious grooming allegations against John. And even though he decided to try fight them for a moment, he just deleted everything. That's why you never hear from Joe Robe anymore, because he deleted his account after being exposed as the creep that he is. If you want to join me on my journey to expose pedophiles and corruption, go listen to my new podcast, The Conspiracy Files, available on all streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
This teach.
Rightfully so. What the hell? Get that nigga up out of here. That nigga's crazy as hell. Talking... 2024 is just the year of PDF files. I'm just going. I guess that's just what it is. That's the next iteration of cancel culture. And honestly, I'm not even mad at this iteration of cancel culture, because we canceling people for the right reasons now, not over some petty stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna name no names because I don't got none at the top of my head right now. But yeah, get these certified freaks up out of here. And what this is just showing me is that it's way more common than you think, honestly. Like, and there are way more people. There are so many people that, ranging from celebrities to family members to acquaintances, just to anybody, just normal individuals. Everybody, there's, depending on the social standing of the individual that's being accused, people will blur or they'll move the goalposts. Basically, they will move the goalposts for anyone that they favor. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if it's clear cut, and they'll gaslight you and manipulate you into believing that that's not the case, but you can feel it inside that it's true. Don't ever disregard your intuition. I mean, that should be right a lot of the time.
Nicknamed
on all streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
This teacher, nicknamed Bunda Becky by students, has been put in prison for doing this with teenage boys. Rebecca Joins was a 30-year-old teacher at a school in Manchester. She was nicknamed Bunda Becky by her students. It's reported that she always laughed off the inappropriate comments and was quite flattered by the attention. She would later claim that loneliness made her do the terrible things that she did. She initially connected with some of the teenagers at school over Snapchat. She then lured one boy to meet her in secret. She took him on a shopping spree as seen on CCTV here and bought him a £350 Gucci belt. Now, after going round the shops at the Trafford Centre with him, she took him back to her flat in Salford Quays. Warning the student that no one had better find out, she engaged in an S relationship with the boy. Now, the boy's mum actually got suspicious when he returned home with a love bite on his neck. The boy's mum went to the school and reported her suspicions. Police actually got involved at this point, but meanwhile, Becky started meeting up with another student. Known simply as Boy B, the teenager began an S relationship with Becky, and what happened next would shock everyone. She made him a treasure hunt at her flat. She arranged rose petals and hid little notes around her flat for him to find. The treasure hunt ended in a final present, a baby grow stating best dad. She was pregnant with the teenager's baby. By now, police were involved, as I mentioned, and when she gave birth to the child, it was immediately taken off her. She was arrested for S activity with 2 children and was found guilty. She will spend 6.5 years in prison.
This little boy went missing 6 years ago.
Bruh. What in the Adam Sandler That's My Boy is going on out here, man? Hide your kids from everybody. Teachers, doctors, your friends, your family, your spouse. Hide them. Hide them. I don't know. How can we fix this? How can we solve this? What's going on, bro? Like, and you know what's crazy? That's not as like I said again, I'm gonna reiterate for the niggas that wasn't listening. It's not as uncommon as you think, bro. Like, I remember hearing stories like that when I was in high school, and going both ways, vice versa. Like, even me, like, and mind you, I was 16, 15, but I looked at most 12, 11. And I'll say that story for another day. But this story, like, just in a joking way, like, I would flirt with my French teacher all the time, and she wouldn't tell me it was inappropriate or nothing. She would smile and laugh, and no, that there. And I was kind of a shy kid too, even doing that. So I'm like, mind you, if I push the issue with that having went somewhere and just having like a little nigga brain, that's like every nigga's dream back. Like, and that's crazy for the double standards that goes on in society. It's like I'm glad that it's changing now in 2024, but most of the time, like, people won't care if it's a older female and younger male relationship or it's underage, when in reality it's the exact same thing and should not be treated any differently. And I'm glad that woman went to jail, because she deserved, and she got pregnant, and she was flexing it too, like, made a whole game, rose petals and everything. People are crazy, bro. Like, this is sickness for real. My child.
This little boy went missing 6 years ago, but he was just found alive walking down a dark road in France. This story is actually insane. This is Alex Batty. He was 11 years old when he went missing during what was supposed to be a 2-week family vacation to Spain, but the details surrounding his disappearance are odd. In 2017, Alex was living with his grandma, who was his legal guardian in Oldham, England. His dad left when he was 2 years old, and ever since he was raised by his mom Melanie and his grandma, who eventually took over guardianship. Alex's grandma agreed to let him go on a vacation with his mom and grandpa to Spain, but that was 6 years ago, and that was the last time that she ever saw him. His disappearance became widely known, but there was literally no trace of him. But just last week, Alex, who was now 17, was found walking down the road in the middle of the night near the city of Toulouse in France. A delivery driver spotted him walking alone in the rain with a flashlight, backpack, and skateboard, and he offered him a ride. Alex agreed, and once he got in the car, he initially gave the driver a fake name, but ultimately he told him that his real name was Alex Alex Batty and that he was kidnapped by his mom 5 years ago in Morocco. Alex told him that he had walked for 4 days and 4 nights through the rugged Pyrenees, sleeping in the light and hiking in the dark, trying to get to a big city to seek out authorities. He said that to survive, he ate what he could find in fields and gardens. He then stated that he'd been living a nomadic lifestyle in Spain, Morocco, and most recently France with his mom and grandpa as part of a spiritual community. He said that they would never stay in one place for too long, would grow their own food, they meditated, and contemplated reincarnation. According to Alex, he carpooled with a community of about 10 people doing odd jobs to get by, and they would carry solar panels with them for energy. It was only after his mom said that she wanted everyone to move to Finland that Alex decided he wanted to leave the group. He told the driver that picked him up that he had had enough and that he was 17 and needed a future, but that he couldn't see a future there. The driver took him to the police after looking him up online and finding out that he was indeed a missing child. Authorities then notified Alex's grandma that he was found, which she's obviously very excited about. According to her, Alex disappeared in 2017 because of disagreements over his care, and the fact that his mom and grandpa were interested in pursuing an alternative lifestyle with him. Alex told authorities that he was never physically abused, but that he had not attended school in the past 6 years, and he was reportedly in good health when he was found. Alex has since been reunited with his grandma. As for his mom Melanie, she is currently wanted by British police in connection to his disappearance, and she may be in Finland. His grandpa David is believed to have died about 6 months ago. Manchester police are still investigating the circumstances around Alex's disappearance and whether or not there should be a criminal investigation. What do you guys think about this case?
I got a lot of things. For one, that was a cult. Like, as soon as they said that they were into like that alternative lifestyle and stuff like that, it kind of made a lot more sense to me that he was in a cult, pretty much a victim of being in a cult. And a lot of children are actually. It's not really talked. I don't know if that's actually talked about a lot. Just children either being forced into being in a cult because of their parents, or actually being born into that cult on the campgrounds, i.e., what's that nigga's name? The don't drink the purple Kool-Aid guy. I think his name was like Charles Manson or something. No, that's a murderer. But either way, yeah, lock her up if y'all can find her. I don't know why y'all can't find her. Like, they ain't really looking hard enough, honestly. And but shout out to that nigga though. Like, to be able to survive on your own at that young age is kind of crazy, you know. And I hope he's doing better now.
It's kind of creepy in itself because it's about AI, a specific AI tool that was created by OpenAI. And OpenAI is the same company that made ChatGPT. And they also made DALL-E 3. DALL-E 3 is that program where you type in something and like it makes a picture.
I know what you're talking about.
And now they made an AI video tool called Sora. And this shit is fucking crazy, bro. Just the amount of progression that we've had within a year, bro. This AI video was of Will Smith eating spaghetti a year ago.
I remember that. Yeah, that's The Rock eating rocks. I saw that shit too.
But you see how like weird and like
distorted and shit.
Yeah, bruh. If you wasn't looking for imperfection to see if it was an AI video, you wouldn't be able to tell. It looks like a movie. All this shit is AI.
That's AI right there.
It's AI, bruh.
If you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have been like, oh, that's AI, the fuck?
We thought robots and AI was gonna take the boring jobs, the jobs that we don't want to do, but it's scary to think about AI is taking videographer jobs, photography and shit, and basically all the fun out of creative jobs. So everything looks lifeless and soulless.
We're going into the future and it's scary as fuck, because I mean we're like in the middle of it, bro. In like maybe like 10-20 years,
I say 10.
we're gonna see a big ass difference, bro.
Magician David Copperfield is one of the big...
Yeah, man, that's insane. And one of the things that they didn't touch on is the fact that that one company has a monopoly on all the AI right now. I won't say all the AI, but all the notable AI, you know. It's kind of like that one Disney company, by and large, or something like that. And it's really scary to think about, because everybody's saving grace with AI. It's like, oh, AI can't replicate creativity of a human, you know. But these, I've been seeing a lot of AI art, and yeah, it does look soulless, but you can't say that shit don't look fire though. That's one thing I will say. And now they making videos. What's next? And it's not really just AI either. I wouldn't consider it completely AI, because it's just an amalgamation of data collected and then turned into something that's already existing. I don't think it's like, there are some things where they're creating things like brand new, but it's not like it's thinking on its own. You still have to put in commands and things of that nature. So that's one saving grace. But even still, bro, with the deep fakes and everything that's going on, you know what, I ain't even mad. I think it's just because the pendulum's gonna swing. Like, some people might get sucked into that, but I think it might also force a lot more people to go outside and touch grass, because at least when they're outside they can tell what's real. Because I think people are just gonna be tired of being lied to on the internet, and just tired of being deceived and not being able to tell what's real and what's not. And yeah, and everything can be fabricated now. So I think we might be headed into an era where anonymity on the internet might not need to be a thing anymore, to be honest. Like, bro, like, you already got all your socials online and everything like that, showing your ass on OnlyFans, bro. Upload your ID or your social security. I don't know what it's gonna take. I think it's just the duality of man. There's always like a good duality of humans. There's always like a good side and a bad side of people, and the internet just brings out like the anonymity just brings out the worst in some people. That's why they say character is who you are when nobody is around. And yeah, but you know, just let people show you their true colors and stay away from it. It's better for them to be out in the open than them like deceiving you. You know what I'm saying? And that's a whole topic in itself, because there's a lot of people deceiving you and out here right now, tricking you into thinking that they have good intentions when they really don't. So my best advice is just to follow the money and see where that's going, because niggas really do not care about you. When we put way too much trust into the system, we're finding out how bad and detrimental that is with all these documentaries and everything that's just coming out day by day, year by year. Every decade we find out something that we thought was good for us is actually not good for us, like milk. But I digress.
We're gonna see a big ass difference, bro.
Magician David Copperfield is one of the biggest creeps on earth, and trust me, you're gonna see why in this TikTok. So if you don't know David Copperfield, he's a world famous magician that really got famous in Vegas, and for years his magic tricks have entertained people from across the world. But in May of this year, he was accused by 16 different women of schmexual misconduct. So these claims stretch from the 1980s all the way up to 2014. And some of the women who brought these allegations against David claimed that they were under the age of 18 when he assaulted them. At least 3 of these women claimed that David drugged them before having relations with them, which obviously were not consensual. He's also been accused of 4 instances of either groping women or making them grope him on stage during performances. One of these accusers claims that she was 15 years old when she met David, and that they stayed in touch over the phone. Yes, that means David essentially groomed her. And when she turned 18, they had a consensual encounter, but now years later, the woman has realized that David groomed her from the age of 15. Now, David Copperfield and Jeffrey Epstein were very close friends. And in my next TikTok, I'm going to explore their relationship and some of the disturbing notes found at Epstein's house about David. But with all of these women coming forward against David, 16 different women, and also some of them claiming that they were minors when they were either assaulted or groomed, it seems that it's more than likely that David was participating in Jeffrey Epstein's human trafficking ring when it was in operation. So why hasn't he been prosecuted on any of these charges? 16 women making claims against him, pedophile claims, and he's been linked with one of the world's most infamous human traffickers, and yet no investigation. That's how this whole thing seems to go. If you want to hear my expose on Jeffrey Epstein, it's over an hour long. Go listen to the first episode of my new podcast, The Conspiracy Files. It's available now on all streaming platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
These are the
Yeah, that was my initial thought. I'm like, you have all these women coming out, 16, not just 2 or 3, 16, all of them coming out giving similar accounts, and this guy's not arrested yet. What's going on? I'm gonna go ahead and play devil's advocate a little bit and say that it takes time for, like, we live in a microwave culture where everything is just like instant gratification. But this has been 15 years. Never mind. Hold on. But hold on, man. I got a lot going on in my head right now. Let me sort it. Let me sort it out real quick. All right. Positives about this situation is that, one, I think we're moving into a good direction in society in which we're starting to call out all the BS that we turned a blind eye to or really just didn't care about, and we're cleaning up the streets, or at least people are becoming knowledgeable about what's going on right now, and we can move in the right direction and put all these nasty little creep boys and girls and I can't even say creep boys and girls, creep men and women, because they probably see themselves as boys and girls. That's why they do this weirdo shit. Like, I don't know, they haven't grown up mentally, but throw them all the way, lock away the key. And yeah, the only reason I can, if I want to go and play into my conspiracy bag, it's a cabal, you know. Like, it's a cabal. You got enough money, you can get away with anything, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Whether that be paying off the victims, paying off law enforcement, judges, or whatever the case. You can make some shit shake with bread. Like, it's unfortunate, and that's the way of the world we live in, you know. And that's just how it's been going for a long time. And I'm glad that we seeing changes, really and truly. I didn't like that nigga anyway. I didn't think he was all that cool. Like, he's one of them celebrities or one of them notable people, like, you just hear about him, like, people talk about him, or like he's in the history books, but he ain't hold no sentiment to me or nothing like that. Lock him up. For real, there's too many of these people that's getting away with this stuff. And I'm starting to think that if we go down the rabbit hole a little bit more, we ain't gonna have no celebrities left. And maybe that's a good thing, because we shouldn't idolize stars. We shouldn't idolize nobody, but, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't put nobody on a pedestal. There's a lot of people that want to play God right now. And of course he was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein too. Like, why am I not surprised, bro? He's probably in that book too, you know. And to play into some more conspiracy bags, you know, you got the people out there thinking, you know, similar to government, really, checks and balances, you know, like how the three branches of government all check and put each other in check and shit like that. I think the whole thing is really, it seems like a control thing, control and manipulation, like putting people in power to manipulate the masses through whatever medium they choose, through arts or creativity or relatability or something like that. But at the same time, humans are still humans, and they don't follow directions like robots. That's why I think they're trying to go towards AI so they control us better. Because when an individual gets too much power, they start to feed into their own vanity and their own desires, rather than the desires that put them in the position to get there. Some people call it big-headedness, or some people start realizing their value, whatever you want to call it. But in order for people to not realize their value, or for celebrities or whatever influencer people with motion not to realize their value, you know, I guess they gotta make deals or something like that to put them in place so they don't step out of line. You know what I'm saying? If you get too powerful, we gotta cut you down, especially when you think you gonna push us out. And that's just that's capitalism, really. You work with somebody long enough until you can surpass them or stomp them out. Like, there's no camaraderie. You know what I'm saying? Best thing you can do is take care of yourself and your family and your loved ones and the people that matter to you, and people that care about you. People that matter to you and the people that care about you. Point blank, period. Don't idolize nobody. Nobody deserves to be idolized. And you know what I'm saying?
UK's youngest killers.
Go listen to the Spotify and Apple podcasts.
These are the UK's youngest killers since James Bulger was murdered. Unless you've lived under a rock, you probably know about the harrowing case of James Bulger. He is a little boy who was murdered in 1993 by two 11-year-old boys. Did you know, though, recently in Wolverhampton there was another shocking murder by two children. On the 13th of November 2023, 19-year-old Sean Seaside was at Stowlawn playing fields in Wolverhampton with a friend. Now, Sean had dreams of becoming an engineer, and he was really well liked by his friends and peers. Him and his friend had been chatting on a park bench at around 8 p.m. that evening, talking about their plans for Christmas. Then he caught the eye of two 12-year-olds. Suddenly, in an unprovoked attack, the two children lunged at Sean. They pulled out a machete and said, "Run, bro." Now, Sean and his friend obviously started running for their lives, but unfortunately Sean tripped up and was on the floor. The boys then hacked at him as he lay helplessly on the ground. The one boy punched him and stamped on him. Unfortunately, Sean stood no chance. After the murder, police searched the boys' homes and found an arsenal of weapons. Chillingly, one of the boys had actually posed on social media with a machete just hours before the murder. They also had disturbing photos and Google searches on their devices. Now, currently the 12-year-olds are having their identities withheld from the public, but the judge is considering revoking this. They have both been found guilty of murder. The boys' disturbing Snapchat conversation has been made public recently, in which they discuss the killing. One stated, "It is what it is." The other replied, "I'm scared, man." The other said back, "I'm not, I don't really care."
The most disturbing movies.
And this is more common than, I always say that, like it's more common than you think at this point. Don't be surprised by anything in society, really. And young niggas kill old people all the time. You just don't hear about it because they don't really talk about it if it's not white news, pretty much. But you know, minority news, the news that doesn't make it to the news, that stuff happens all the time. Kids killing kids, kids killing adults, adults killing kids. I don't know what the motive was behind this, but maybe it was like gang related. It could be gang related and nobody just speaking up or something like that. I don't know. And I don't know how I feel about them not releasing those kids' faces. Like at that age, even I knew that murdering somebody, like from 17 to 18, you don't just magically wake up one day and be like, hey, I know killing is not bad. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you kind of just learn that when you become coherent or conscious, that murder is kind of taboo. It's everybody crazy. My recommendation, stay in the house, bro. There ain't nothing to do outside anyway. Chilling.
The most disturbing movies. It was also low-key banned, and it took a long time for it to like fully release because of how controversial and disturbing the movie was.
Okay.
The Poughkeepsie tapes. It's a mockumentary of a serial killer, and it's just a bunch of found footage, specifically with all of his victims.
No, pop it.
What?
Pop it!
What is your name? My name is Sam. What is your name? Sam.
And throughout the whole movie, it goes back from like an interview to the detectives, sheriffs, and also the actual Poughkeepsie tapes revolving how he killed, tortured, and mentally abused his victims and shit. The very first tape that it shows is one of the very first victims in the movie, which was a 8-year-old little girl.
I don't remember that at all, bro. What?
You see the serial killer starts talking to the little girl, kind of knocks her out, and then he starts dragging her into the car and obviously
takes her.
One of the most disturbing parts, the serial killer kills a couple, and at the end of the clip you see how he had decapitated the boyfriend and sewed the head onto the stomach of the girlfriend. The other one was obviously Cheryl Dempsey, kept in there for mad long. At the end of the movie was mentally damaged and shit. She had like Stockholm syndrome, basically trying to say that this whole time her abuser loved her and stuff.
He loved me. Nobody ever lets me say it, but it's true. He didn't mean to leave me, and someday he's gonna come back to me.
However, coined the phrase, "You can't make this stuff up."
I feel so sorry for that girl. Like, ooh, that's a bad situation to be in. Like, you know, when you can't face, that girl can't face reality right now, and like the consequences that's gonna come after all that she's been through is kind of not as bad as what she was getting accustomed to. It kind of seemed like, and that's real messed up. And that's the messed up thing about humans, is like humans can adapt to things so quickly and adapt to their circumstances so quickly that it kind of just becomes a double-edged sword depending on what the circumstances are. It just shows duality again, really. And niggas is nasty. Like, why would you even make a movie about that? Like, y'all need help. Like, what happened to the institutions? What happened to the mental institute? Shit. At this point, I think insanity is a spectrum really now, and everybody is a little crazy, and not even from doing anything crazy. Like, just seeing all this stuff on the news and on the internet itself can drive you crazy, you know what I'm saying? Or at least paranoid at the very least, like anxiety riddled. Like, bro, like, how do you even come up with this stuff? Like, I could not even fathom. And like another crazy part about it is you can just walk by these niggas on the street and you probably won't know, like Jeffrey Dahmer or something like that, or Ted Bundy, or you know what I'm saying, Charles Manson. Those type of niggas just walk the street, man, and you could just lose your life at any day. That's, boy, I tell you, it's an evil world we live in. Shout out Future. Stay safe, y'all.
However, coined the phrase, "You can't make this stuff up." Might have known the story of real-life boogeyman, Albert Fish, a slight elderly man with grey hair, No one suspected the kindly single father of being sadistic child murderer and cannibal.
This is one of the most disturbing images that you will ever see for multiple reasons. Let's talk about it. This is an x-ray of the pelvis of serial killer and cannibal Albert Fish. Albert had a serious self-harm and sexual mutilation kink, and in this x-ray, 29 self-embedded needles were lodged into his pelvic region. This in itself is incredibly disturbing, but who Albert Fish was and what he did is horrifying. Albert Fish, also known as the boogeyman in the Brooklyn Vampire, S.A.'d, killed and cannibalized at least 3 children between 1924 and 1928, but he was a suspect in at least 10 other murders and bragged about possibly having 100 victims. After Albert's dad died when he was really young, his mom placed him into an orphanage where he was often physically abused, but after a while he began to enjoy the physical pain from the beatings. By the age of 12, he began drinking urine and eating feces and would often spy on other young boys and watch them undress. By 20, he began S.A.ing little boys, mostly under the age of 6, and it was around this time that he married a woman named Anna. They went on to have 6 kids together. Although his life seemed normal on the outside, his secret disturbing behavior would begin to escalate when in 1910 he met a teenager named Thomas. The two began a sadomasochistic relationship, and just 10 days into the relationship, Albert took him to an old farmhouse where he tortured him over a period of 2 weeks. He originally wanted to kill Thomas and dismember his body to take home, but it was really hot out at the time, and he said he feared someone would notice. So instead, he cut off half of Thomas's poured peroxide over the wound, wrapped it in a towel covered in Vaseline, and then gave him $10. Albert then left him there and never looked back. A few years later, his wife would leave him, and it was at this point that Albert began having hallucinations and began to self-harm. This is where he picked up the habit of self-embedding the needles into his pelvic region. He would also repeatedly hit himself with a nail-studded paddle, amongst other really disturbing things that I cannot say on here. At this point, Albert would escalate to torturing, mutilating, and murdering young children because he said that God was commanding him to do so. He would use tools that he called his implements of hell, which included a meat cleaver, a butcher knife, and a handsaw. He went on to murder 10-year-old Grace Budd in the summer of 1928 after the Budd family put out an ad in the newspaper. Grace's brother Edward was looking for work, and Albert responded to the ad under the pretense of wanting to hire Edward. But instead he saw Grace, and he convinced her parents to let him take her to his niece's birthday party, which unfortunately was a complete lie. Instead, Albert took Grace to an abandoned house in Irvington, New York, where he strangled her to death. He then decapitated her and dismembered her body and ate most of her remains over the next few days. One of the most disturbing things about Albert was that he was known to write disturbing letters to the victims' families, and that's exactly what he did to the Budd family. Albert sent them an extremely gruesome and disturbing letter detailing what he did to Grace, how it took 9 days to eat her entire body. And in this letter, he also detailed other horrific child murders. One was the murder of 9-year-old Francis McDonnell, who disappeared after playing catch with some friends. He was later found hanging from a tree in a wooded area near his home. He had been S.A.'d and strangled with his suspenders. He also had extreme lacerations to his legs and stomach, and his left hamstring had almost entirely been stripped of its flesh. The next confession was the murder of 4-year-old William Gaffney. On February 11th, 1927, William was playing in his apartment hallway with a 3-year-old named Billy and Billy's 12-year-old brother. After a while, the 12-year-old stepped away, and it was at that moment that both the little boys disappeared. Billy was later found on the apartment roof, and when police asked him what happened to William, Billy said that the boogeyman took him. A witness later identified Albert as the person who kidnapped William that day, and although William's body was never found, Albert explained in great detail what he did to him in a letter that he wrote. Albert wrote how he cooked and ate his body parts in a stew. Albert was arrested for the kidnapping and murder of Grace Budd, in which he was convicted. He was executed by electric chair on January 16, 1936, at the age of 65 years old. Right before his execution, Albert wrote down his final confessions and gave them to his lawyer, but his lawyer said that he would never show them to anyone because of how disturbing they were. Albert Fish is one of the scariest men to ever exist.
I don't know if you ever heard.
Fuck that nigga. Fuck everything about him. Fuck everything he stands for. His lineage. All that, bro. That he ain't even human. Demons really walk the earth. You cannot convince me that demons don't walk the earth. You cannot. That's not human. And I don't know what God you was praying to, but that ain't my God. Because my God don't talk like that. My God don't want harm on nobody. I'm tired of people using that excuse. Throw dirt on God's name. Nigga, like, you is not no judge, juror, and executioner, whatever you think you are, bro. How did they not catch him this whole time? What is going on? Like, and it just kept getting worse, like worse and worse. And I think one of the morals of the story for that one is at least honestly for all of this, is that people are fucked up in their head, bro. Like, they, when you're not right with yourself, you start to project that onto society and people around you, and everybody else suffers for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, clearly this nigga he hated himself from him being abandoned. His parents didn't love him. He didn't know love from the start. Then he was in like foster care or something, and he was getting beat there, and he developed Stockholm syndrome because he was getting beat so badly that he started to like it, because it's like, if I learn to enjoy the pain, it won't be painful. It'll be a fun experience. Like, his brain is warped, bro. Like, it's tarnished, finito, smooth. Prayers to everybody involved. Prayers for all the people involved and all the families, and prayers to anybody that watches this video too that's sensitive, you know, fragile hearted, or just an empath, or just human, really. That would make you look at, I don't know. And it's messed up because the more we watch these videos, the more we say humans are trash and that we don't fuck with humans, when it's really these outliers, I would say, that's making society look terrible for us. And then we turn our backs on each other because these outliers make us look crazy and make us not trust each other. You know what I'm saying? They make us paranoid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild. My black man paranoia be going off and just thinking about 30,000 conspiracies in my head right now. In a sense, it's like, are they trying to separate us? You know what I'm saying? Are they trying to, like, I don't know. At this point, only thing you can ask for in this life is to survive, because even that ain't guaranteed. To wake up the next day, wake up in the morning and think whoever you're thinking, whether that be your mom or you, keeping your body right. It's God for me. It's a lot of people for me, but the Most High for sure. That's the main one. Shit, fuck it, nuke the whole earth. I don't even care, bro. These guys again.
It's one of the scariest men to ever exist.
I don't know if you ever heard about the island of dolls.
All I've heard about is that it's literally just an island by itself with a bunch of dolls.
But have you heard about the legend behind it?
I've never heard about that.
In the 1950s, there was a man. His name was Julian Santana Barrera. He was a guy who loved peace and quiet. He didn't like being around people like that, so that's why he decided to live there. And then one day, his peace was interrupted by a girl that he heard in the canal drowning. In a panic, he tries to save the girl, but then when he tries to save the girl, he realizes that it's already too late. The girl is already dead. A little bit after, a doll appears in the same exact spot that the girl had drowned in. As respect, he ends up hanging up the doll on a tree. But after that whole thing, that same night, he started hearing voices and screams of a little girl basically being tormented by these evil spirits that he said. So what he decided to do was collect dolls no matter where he got them from. If it was a garbage, no matter how they looked, and he would hang them on trees. He put them around his little hut. He believed that by doing this, it would please the girl's spirit and also keep away evil spirits. And every single doll represents an evil spirit. For the next 50 years, he collected dolls, and I'm not talking about a couple hundred dolls, bro. I'm talking about thousands of dolls. But around, I would say 2001, he ends up getting a heart attack. But where his body was found was the exact same spot that the girl died in.
Have people seen shit?
I'm gonna show you a clip because Ghost Adventures actually visited the island, and
these angels were allegedly killed by...
So for that, me personally, I don't believe in. There's no such thing as coincidences for me. And it's like, when you look at it on a macro level and you combine all the individual instances and throw them at a wall and you look at them, you start to see how often this should be happening. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know y'all heard of the Winchester house, like, and the story behind that. So like, the Winchester lady, her husband built Winchester rifles, right, during the Civil War, I want to believe, or the Revolutionary War, you feel me, in America. And basically, like the gold rush, it was like, you supply the tools and everybody else go out and get it. So he was basically responsible for a lot of deaths, and guilt-ridden. His wife was being, what at least she claimed, allegedly, that she was being haunted by spirits of the dead soldiers, you know, the people that died from the hands of Winchester rifles. And so she contacted a medium, and that she even had a medium room too, so she probably did this more than once. Like, and she would tell this medium, the medium would tell her to keep building on her house, constantly building on her house, and that was the only way that would satisfy the spirit, to satiate the spirit's anger. And That's why there'd be a bunch of rooms and doors and things that don't make sense architecturally and literally don't lead to anywhere, really. It's just like a really random madhouse. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot more instances of like that going on more and more. So you kind of have to step back and think, like, is there a phenomenon going on that humans have where they just think that they justify the guilt that they have with demons or spirits attacking them? I don't know. I like to know y'all thoughts more than anything. But anyway, that's gonna be it for the video for this time. I hope y'all enjoy it. Know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna get better at it. You feel me? We're gonna prayers up to all the victims in there. And the moral of the story for this video right here is that stay safe. Anybody is capable of anything. Don't judge a book by its cover. What else? Most things are about $1. So capitalism runs the world, and mental health is probably one of the most important things that we can focus on right now. Like I was saying earlier, like, if your mental isn't right, if your head isn't right, the most important thing is not you that's suffering, it's the society that suffers from your mental illness. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people around you, the world around you. And it's unfortunate as it is because it's like a vicious cycle. It's like, think of it this way: that person that's causing all that destruction is only a product of somebody else causing all that destruction, and it's like the cycle constantly continues. It's like, that's what they say, an eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind, and that's literally what's going on right now. Everyone's just poking each other's eyes out and going blind because one person hurt people, and hurt people hurt more people. Yeah, but I truly believe some people aren't hurt. Some people are just like twisted and demented out here and like really demonic. And just like you believe people are NPCs and bots, there's some of those NPCs can be hostile. You feel me? Some of those NPCs are not ally NPCs, enemies, bro. Stay safe out there, y'all. Love.